We're inching closer to the end of this season, and let me tell you, it feels like the beginning of this season all over again with how close the championship is. Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee, and welcome to the 25th running of the 2024 VTuber Racing Series. Today's race is going to be interesting. It's going to actually be the shortest race of this season, so it'll be a quickie before you know it. Blink and you miss it kind of race. It is technically not necessarily a sprint race, but technically it's close to it. This track is quite, I don't want to say big for it being a super speedway. For it being a super speedway tagline, the track is not as huge as you think it is, not like Daytona or Talladega. Instead, it's just more of a bigger 1.5 to 2 mile racetrack. Almost similar to a track like Indianapolis, which we will be going to later in the runnings here. You'll see it more shortly soon. But it's called the SuperSpeedway because there is also another track around the Nashville area that's shorter, that's called the Nashville Speedway, or actually Nashville Fairgrounds technically. So there's that. Fun fact for you. Learn something new every day. But anyways, this track, the SuperSpeedway track of Nashville, is where we're going to see 169 laps around for the 25th running. So that sounds like a lot, but trust me, with these lap times, it's going to be short. The lap times are roughly 30 seconds per lap. So it's going to be maybe an hour and a half of race time that we will have. A little bit shorter than all the other races we have had this season. Like I said, will probably be the shortest of the season. We're close to it. So with that out of the way, let's quickly go over a recap of last week's race over at Watkins Glen. It was a really fun race over at Watkins Glen, all things considered. For it being a road course, it was more entertaining than normal. I'll tell you that much. But it was a really fun adventure through that road course, which saw Iron Mouse pick up their 3rd win of the season, the only driver to have 3 wins on the season. There are still a couple drivers that could still maybe get that three win mark as well. But Iron Mouse, if she wins here today, that'll mark her as the only driver to win 4, and would probably be the only driver to even come close to that moniker. And before we get too far into today's race, let's quickly go over point situation coming into today's race. Now, for the first time since the Old Spice race back in race 16, the points championship leader has changed hands over to Bell by only 4 positions or 4 points. They will come into today's race looking to increase that points gap. However, they're going to have to do it from very deep in the field because they start in the 36th position. Actually, no, 35th. They're in the deep part of the field. They are going to have to come from the back. But this season has shown that you could start anywhere and still finish up front. Second place in points are the driver that was the points leader at one point, now 4 points back. They're going to actually be in the opposite side of the spectrum. They're going to be starting up front for today's race. But they have to give up. They're going to have to earn back this points lead. Last week's winner moves up to the 3rd spot in the championship standings, still about a full race behind. And then from 4th on back, 50 points on back. So it might be a 3-driver race to the championship here within the next couple of races. As we're edging closer to the edge of the championship, we got 5 more races after this. 1 more on a road course, and then a couple more on some big tracks, the last race of the season being in Las Vegas. Now, let's take a look. Take a look here at the qualifying results here before I get too far into everything here. Like I said, Bell starts deep in the field today. They'll be starting 35th. David, another championship contender, starts 36th with Lumen in 37th. And the rest of the field will slowly scroll up F1 style. Gilso's another championship contender. They'll start 31st. Overdrive 32nd. A driver who won not too far. Not too long ago, I should say. 24 car of area will start 25th in today's race. I did say they were going to start up front, so I kind of lied, didn't I? Before because of school stuff, but Fred told me. But that's good to see. Good to see. I appreciate you stopping by and also saying hello and hit that follow button as well. So March inside the top 10, a driver that will notably be starting inside the top 10 is third place in points of Iron Mouse, a definite positive for them heading into today's race as they sit 47 back from the championship leader. They're going to need all they can get out of today's race. It's starting in 6th place in a race that's going to be quite noticeably the shortest race of the season. That is a good start. But then again, like I said, doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. That's why I don't put too much emphasis on qualifying in this series. I would if it meant something, but it really doesn't. You start up front, but you never really finish up front anyways. There's only one driver that, fun fact, only has set a 29-second lap time. Everybody else has set a 30-second lap time. But our pole sitter of Fifi has the only 29-second lap time of today. So an interesting note there. Fifi having a little bit of short run speed compared to everybody else. But 169 laps around this racetrack. It is gonna be something. It's gonna be something to say the least. So let's quickly go ahead and send it down to trackside for today's race here. We'll get things situated and set up for this race. Again, 169 laps. This race will fly with these sub 30-second, maybe 32-second lap times once we get the actual long runs going. Assuming that that's what we can get it out of today's race. We haven't had many incidences this season. We've had a lot of clean racing, at least in the first half of these races. Let's see if today will be any different. Well, we will have to see here. 169 laps and a lot of action still left to be had for this season. Let's take a gander around Nashville Superspeedway for the 25th running of this season. Fifi on the inside, Lumi on the outside. Pace car is off, and we are set. 169 laps underway here from the Nashville Superspeedway. Good jump on the inside line. Fifi is going to get the advantage coming off the corner. Just not able to clear up from the 64. Now we'll be able to going into turn 3. Fifi will lead the first lap. Sole with a good qualifying effort by the 420 machine. Still looking for their first of the season. Their first win of the season. They'll cross the line second. Although Watson right behind. Right in third place. Not too far is Iron Mouse, who won last week at Watkins Glen. The only driver with their third win of the season. Although saying that there's a couple drivers, especially the top 2 in the points, if they win, they will also be one of those drivers with 3 wins of the season. Fifi takes a commanding lead for the first couple of laps. Sole with a little bit of a challenge for second. Watson moves up to that spot, demanding to pass for that second spot. So right now, Watson for their best best position so far this season if it holds, although way too early to tell. Second place right now for the 4 car. 53 of Fifi leads the first 3 laps. And top 3 have pulled a bit of a gap. About 0.4 of a second when you go all the way back between first and third. And a little bit bigger of a gap once you get to first to fourth. Watson looking to the inside for the race lead going into turn 3. He's going to dive down low. Slide up a little bit. Try to keep some momentum off of 4 here. They're going to stay side by side, cross the line, but it's going to be Watson. Going to lead a lap. Get a bonus point there, although not in championship contention by any means of the stretch. But a point nonetheless. Soleil almost looked to the inside late in that corner and lost that momentum coming out of the corner. I was going to say they still run second, but here comes Fifi back to the inside. Brute right behind them in the 84s, looking underneath Iron Mouse for the 4th spot. They got a little bit of a train right underneath the 22 car. Didi in the 87? Yes, correct. 87 and the 85 Anana, so a trio of 80s. Hello, Francis. Good to see you in chat. Big move by Fruit. Looking underneath. Oh, 3 wide for second. Taking Fifi in the middle and Soleil on the top. Who's going to get the advantage out of that? That'll definitely tell us which lane's going to be the preferred lane around this track. Looks like the middle. Fifi's going to hang on. Fifi's going to hang on through the middle. But Fruit's still not giving up. Then they come back on the inside. Soleil's going to lose several positions. Hey, Mama. Hope you're doing as well as always. Doing decent. A little tired, but doing decent. So 7 laps in the books. Watson with a very commanding lead now. Sends everybody back on second on back. Oh, contact! Jesus. I was going to say they're stacking up and second on back. That was key evidence. Nana and Didi almost getting into each other early on in this race. That would have been big. That allows Fruit to get away from this chaos that's going on. It's still a second back from Watson. Yeah, well, this may not be a big track necessarily from the looks of it, but everybody's driving as if it is a super speedway. Side by side for third at the moment. Watson with a nice commanding lead at the moment. Although Fruit did gain a 10th that last time by. Couple drivers that started inside the top 10, if not the pole, which was Fifi's case. They're falling outside the top 10 at the moment. Yeah, like I said, qualifying definitely not something that's necessarily a strong point for this series. So far, the 24 sits in the 23rd spot. Although that doesn't sound good. It's a couple spots ahead of our current points leader at the moment. Although not 4 positions ahead. Well, maybe. Right now it's 3. Bell would have the points lead still by just 1 point at this moment. I say that though, but however, you got to realize that the 22 of Iron Mouse could still peek into the championship hunt here within the next couple of races. If Iron Mouse could pull off a consistent run like last week, I don't know. Things are looking pretty bleak at the moment. Early in this running, lots of drivers that started up front, they are falling. You see some 3 wide action going on back here between several drivers. That's Soleil, DJ, and Area. All of them looking to maybe, just maybe, turn their season around. For the case of Soleil, they've been falling in the points the last couple of races. actually outside the top 10 in points coming into today's race. We're looking to get back in it. But right now, sitting 17th. After being second for a little bit, starting in the second row, it's definitely not looking too good for them at the moment. Right now, with 14 laps about to be completed when they cross the line again, it's going to be Watson who's going to hang on to the race lead. This battle for second still heating up between two drivers that nearly caused a big wreck. Between Nana and Didi in the 87. They're trading it back and forth. This time it's Nana that takes the second spot. And now Callie may be looking to get third away from the 87. There's also Weebu in the 11 right behind. A lot of momentum too because the two drivers in front of her just checked up big time. Now these drivers, they're running right around that 30-second region. So the qualifying times, the times were all roughly 30 seconds with the exception of the pole time, which was 29.9. Now they're a little bit quicker. Some drivers are running a little bit quicker than the qualifying times. Mostly because of the draft. That's the biggest reason why the lap times are so much smaller and quicker. A big stack up here. So from the looks of it, this is one of those tracks where if they get side by side, it really, really spreads out the field. I mean, the evidence couldn't be more clear by the fact that we have a pretty big gap between these cars, first and second, and then you go back a little bit of ways. That's where you find third and fourth. Nana could have a chance here at the race lead here momentarily. Well, these two drivers, Watson has not won a race this season, and Nana won a race all the way back at Talladega early in the season. Although these two drivers haven't had much success regardless of the fact that Nana has won already this season, I wouldn't say anything about success for both Nana and Watson, especially Watson. If anybody needs a race win late in the season, it would be this 4-car. Not for any particular championship reason, but just so they can at least have a win this season. They've been up front sometimes. They haven't been able to capitalize and complete their journey to the front of the field late in the race. They end up in the back of the field before you know it. Same thing could be said with Nana. Nana ends up in more accidents than you think. Other than that win in Talladega, it just has not been a good season for the 85 machine. Right now, peaking, looking to make a move happen soon. It could be a good day for the 85, but we'll have to see. And Callie, who sits in third place, just hasn't had the greatest of seasons. I mean, this whole field, this whole top 5 really just hasn't had the best of seasons so far. Right now, how they're looking, they just want to turn the season around real quick. And they have to go all the way back to Merriweather and Weebu, two drivers that have had a little bit of a success. Merriweather's case, they're sitting top 10 in the points, top 5 actually, if I remember correctly. Give me 1 second, I can pull this up. All right. Yeah, currently Merriweather's actually sitting in 4th place in the points, 50 back. If they get a good finisher today and the other 3 drivers ahead of him in the points end up having a struggle today, they could be in contention for a championship as well. I mentioned how it could be 3 drivers battling for the championship late in this in the later goings. And it might be 4, depending on if Merriweather can capitalize on today's race. But right now, if you get on that high side, which he is at the moment, things don't look too good for the short-term future. Right now, the 24 car sits in 16th place and 1 position back sits the 69. That's first and second in the points. Starlight at the moment would only have a point gain of So it'd only be down to 3 points for the championship lead. And that's at this very moment, and things could change late. Well, maybe actually a pretty smart move by this 85 machine at the moment, just not actually going for the race lead, just kind of riding around behind the 4 car. I say that's a good move because they've put more than 2 seconds on 3rd place right now, mainly because they just aren't really battling with each other. Nana is trying to keep up with the 4 car, but not to an extent to where they're running side by side. They're still running relatively fast lap times, 29.9s basically for the top 2. Now it's more than 3 seconds. I mean, if they go side by side, that gap's going to dwindle down a lot because all the way back to the battle for 7th is single file above them. Well, I say that, there goes Didi looking for 4th place. Yeah, but still, there's a little bit of single file going on right here. So as long as these two just run single file, they'll keep the gap consistent. Maybe not exactly a big gap, but consistent enough to where they could battle amongst themselves. And Nana is, I want to say Nana is a little bit faster. I want to say they're just a little bit faster. There's a 30.4, so there they go. Oh, there they go. There goes Nana looking for the lead. That's gonna really turn the gap down a lot, especially if they don't get this sorted out quickly. They're going to run side by side for the entire lap. This is not going to end well for them, I'll tell you that much. Across the line, yeah, they're running single file back in the 3rd spot. Callie's going to gain almost a full second. Now they finally sort it out, but they're still going to lose a lot of speed. Right now, it's going to be Nana that's going to hang on and lead a lap for the first time today. Their first lap of the day, so they will get that lap led. Luckily, they did get that sorted out because they lost time, but they didn't lose as much. But running side by side does slow you down a lot. So you got to be careful going side by side. As soon as I say that, they're back side by side. Watson looking to get that lead back. Not necessarily a smart move by the top 2, but they gotta do what they gotta do, I guess. Now, if Weebu wants to go for 3rd place, that'll really help out the top 2 and they could battle. And it looks like Weebu isn't content with riding behind Callie. Yep. I was gonna say, I'm expecting a side-by-side move there. And Nana's going to go right back to the race lead on the inside. Off turn 4. Gap still down to less than 2 seconds. So while they are battling for 3rd, they're also still catching this battle for the lead. So far, right now, as things run, Nana and Watson are trading the lead back and forth. About a second behind will be Weebu and Merriweather, who rounds out the top 5. Well, actually, no, Callie would round out the top 5. Saiki Risu's actually climbed up inside the top 10 to 6th place. So they still battle for the race lead. Fruit and Kason battle for 7th. Gura's inside the top 10, currently in 8th. Bell's actually climbed up ahead of Starlight inside the top 10, as well as David, who's sitting 11th, actually. Soleil's going to sit in 12th, and Didi's going to fall to 13th, Bow to 14th. And rounding out the top 15 is Kobo. Starlight's all the way back just outside the top 20. Iron Mouse has actually fallen all the way back to 35th position, so what they were inside the top 10 at one point, actually started inside the top, actually started 6th, and in 30 laps they fell, I should say, all the way back to last. Oh, all it's gonna take is a couple pit stops, if not one. They can get something. If they could get something right on the next pit stop, they'll be able to climb back up to the front of the field. They had a strong short run car, obviously, starting up at 6th place, but man, whatever they're doing in the long run game is not working out. 35 laps into this first run here, and like I said, Nana and Watson are trading the lead back and forth as Nana goes back up front. But now the 3-second gap to 3rd place has now dwindled down, as now the 11 of Weebu and the 60 of Merriweather have now entered the picture for the first time today. Top 4 all run nose to tail for the most part. The aggression's not really that high up. People are going to try and figure out what their cars are doing. Especially this late into a run, you're going to have to figure out how good your car is. And if you could find an opportunity to get up to the front of the field, especially since we got pit stops coming up soon, you're going to need to figure out what your car is capable of, especially 40 laps into a run. Watson back to the inside for the race lead. That's actually going to help the 11 get up to 2nd place here as they run underneath for the spot going into turn 3. Actually, Weebu's going to try and go for the lead. Going to run side by side for the lead and maybe side by side behind. Now Weebu couldn't get the run. Watson defends quite well on that high side. Oh, Nana's still stuck on that high line though. They're gonna lose a couple spots. They fall to 4th. See if Weebu can make a move for the lead here. Going into 3. They tried to send it in a little deeper, and I think that's gonna work. And it does. Now a new leader has emerged, and it's the 11. That'll be their first lap lead of the day. Merriweather is right behind them as well. Like I said, 4th in the points, 50 points back from the championship leader. And actually only a couple of points back from 3rd place, which is Iron Mouse. And since Iron Mouse is running all the way back, let's see, is she still back in the, yeah, still back in 35th place. Merriweather right now would be the 3rd place in points at the moment. Although they wouldn't be able to gain too many points because sitting in 10th place is the current championship leader. Like I said, this race is incredibly short. We are 40 laps into this 169 scheduled distance, and we are not even a half an hour into this race. We are not even a half hour into this race, and we are almost halfway through this race. We're a little bit of ways away from that mark, but it's still 40 laps in less than a half an hour is nuts. But we're still running sub 30-second lap times. The tires aren't necessarily a problem for a lot of drivers. Some drivers may be running a little slower than this, but yeah, still not too big of a fall off. By the way that this track is running, it definitely is living up to its SuperSpeedway moniker. Maybe not as chaotic as Daytona or Talladega, but still SuperSpeedway racing. 18th place is the 24 car at the moment, so they definitely are losing out on points here. A lot of drivers still struggling, yeah, including the 22 of Iron Mouse. How crazy this series can be. You can go from winning one week to just absolutely struggling and dead last the next. Watson looking for the second spot underneath Nana going into turn 3. Right behind these two is the 2 car of Risu, driver that has been secretly climbing up through the ranks in the points. Very silently, like silently inside the top 10 in points, just kind of there. They've been silently just there. Just kind of keeping track of a good finish, if not a solid finish, and they're able to kind of keep themselves out of trouble. I say silently because I don't really mention them a whole lot. I haven't really mentioned them a whole lot this season. They're up front sometimes, but then they just end up in the back late in the race, but not too far back, to say basically. Watson's looking to the inside for the race lead, but not able to make that move happen. Now able to, because they're going to send it going into 3. Although not going to have the run to clear off 4. They're going to still be side by side going down the tri-oval. Risu's actually going to look to the inside of Watson for second. And even looking for the race lead. Off of 2 down the backstretch. I think Risu's gonna... I kind of figured she was gonna slot in line. Oh no, there she goes. The field is definitely stacking up more now. Several drivers are feeling their cars getting better and better. Several of them up front, not so much. .3. Oh, Jesus. What a block by the 11. That's really going to slow down the momentum a little bit there. I was going to mention a 30.322 and a 30.366. Differences in lap times is by hundredths of a second. Not tenths, hundredths. .48 laps. About to be complete when we cross the line. Caution free at the moment, which has been the very basic norm here in this series. We haven't had many cautions early in the going, especially not in the last several races. A lot of the action comes in the second half of these races. So we'll have to see what happens at that point. We do have some 3-wide action going on in the back of this top 10 here. Didi in the 87, Fruit in the 84, Gura in the 1, and Soleil. That's back in the 8th place spot. You see a lead change here on lap 49. It's Risu now to the points. They'll get a bonus point for leading a lap. Like I said, they're silently climbing up the championship points. Definitely not in contention to win it all, but definitely in contention to at least have a shot to get a top 5. Like I said, a lot of drivers still looking to maybe get into the championship hunt here, but it's not that many. And it's not, unless something drastic happens, it's not going to be many. Right now, it's 2 drivers battling for the championship. Iron Mouse coming into today was maybe the 3rd driver, but they still sat 47 back, which is the most. Which is the most points of the most amount of a gap that you can have before it becomes a full race. But so much has to go Iron Mouse's way in order to make that gap of 47 go to a plus. They would have to dominate the race, they would have to win the race, and then they would have to have both the 69 and the 24 somehow finish 36th and 37th. Now, currently, Iron Mouse is in a situation where that is nowhere close to happening. They are in the worst possible spot at the moment. At the moment, top three have calmed themselves down. Car lengths separating all three of them enough. Points leader sitting in 13th at the moment. Second place in points sitting in 18th. Third place in points coming into today. Currently sitting in the 34th spot. So definitely a day that Bell is loving so far at the moment. Because they don't need to finish up at the front of the field. They don't need to finish flashy up front. They just need to finish ahead of who they need to finish ahead of. Currently, that's only one driver, and that's a 24 car. And as long as they stay ahead of them, they will hang on to the championship lead in these last handful of races. All things being considered, they were dipping down in the lap times, but they're still keeping up with the low 29s and the high 30s. Actually, I think that may be the other way around. High 29s, low 30s. Yeah, that sounds more like it. I'm tired. The 30-second flat for the 2 car last time by. This time by, it's almost a 30-second flat, but it's a 29.9. So 56 laps completed here when we cross the line. Goes Weeboot to the inside of Nana for that second spot. Strong car so far for this 2 car. They started in the back of the field, but they're able to drive through the field and making it work. Although, like I said, with pit stops, they probably aren't going to necessarily pit for tires. They might. I think a lot of drivers are going to pit for tires just so they have that extra grip compared to 60 lap old tires. The main reason why they want to pit though is because of fuel. They cannot make it a full 169 on a tank. That's not going to happen. At the very least, they're going to have to come down and take the fuel. It takes just as long to get fully fueled up as to put on 4 tires. So if you're going to come in for a full tank of fuel, you might as well just come in and take the tires. You get the benefit of the grip. You're not going to come out any earlier by just taking fuel. And even if you do, you're probably only get like a couple tenths, if that. But you still have to, but then you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of fuel, which that's not the call. Nana looking to the inside for second. There's still a little bit of a train here. Got the top, I think this goes back to, yeah, top 7. The top 7 all formed up together. Back to Didi in the 87. Gura in 8th. Callie in 9th. And Fruit rounds out the top 10. Then you got a big battle here between 3 drivers that have been looking to eke their way into the championship hunt, but they sit relatively around each other in or out of the top 10. Got the Chicagoland winner not too long ago with DJ Overdrive. Looking to not only have a good day today, but maybe a chance for a championship. Because they don't sit too far back from both Merriweather and Iron Mouse. They got David, who sits, I think, 5th or 6th in points coming into today. They did lose a few spots in the points coming out of Watkins Glen. But they still sit comfortably inside the top 10 in points. And then got Soleil, who I mentioned earlier. They've been free falling from the points. They fell out of the top 10 coming into Watkins Glen. It hadn't got much better. It didn't get much better coming out of Watkins Glen. The 62 laps will be in the books here, and Risu's been calmly dominating this portion of the run. And all it's really going to take is for somebody inside the top 10 in points to have a solid day, whereas both Bell and Starlight would have to have the opposite. And then you open up Pandora's box of championships. We got drivers coming into the pits. Several from the top of the field. We've already had a couple drivers already in the pits as well. Whoops. A couple drivers already. Callie and a few others. It was a good shot of the pit entry. I think Merriweather was the first one that stayed out. Yeah. So Merriweather gets a lap lead. Kayson's the only one that stays out right now, along with a few others. So a couple other drivers come in this time. Kayson, Overdrive, David, and I think Gura stay out. Or is that no, I was going to say, is that Lumi? No, that's not Lumi. Let's see. No, it's Kobo that stayed out. Okay, it's not Gura. It's Kobo that stayed out as well. Blue cars are really hard to tell apart. Simu also stayed out, as well as Bimble. Dreamer also stayed out. Ironmal's desperately trying to overcut everybody, as well as several other drivers. Only 11 have stayed out. And now a couple more have come down. Kason, David. Overdrive leads this lap. And they should pull the leaderboard back up. I turned it off because the camera was hard to see with this thing in it. Let's see when Overdrive comes in. He doesn't come in this time, nor does Kobo. So the top two right now stay out. I believe they are the only two to stay out at the moment. There's a couple others, actually. Dreamer and I think William are two others that stayed out. Right now, I think they're pulling for a caution. They won't have much time. In fact, I think they're coming in, if not this lap, probably be the next lap or the lap after. Yeah, that's what I figured. Overdrive comes in, Kobo comes in, Dreamer, William, everybody comes in. So now that just leaves Risu, who, unless somebody gets a better stop, Risu's going to be the race leader coming out of all the pit stops. And they're going to have a big gap. Looks like they are going to take the race lead back. Comfortably, at least. I was going to say, if anybody stays out and they get a caution, that's going to really shake things up a lot. Let's see if Risu... I don't think anybody comes out ahead of them. No, because there goes Dreamer, who's just coming out of the pits. I think Risu's going to pass them, no big deal. No big deal for Risu. They're back out front. Overdrive comes out ahead of everybody that was coming in there that time by. So let's go through the field real quick. So after pit stops have concluded here, for the first time today, 65, between 65 to 70 laps is where you can run on fuel. After that, we got Risu out front ahead of a trio of Hololive girls. Watson in second, Callie in third, and then Gura rounds out that trio in fourth place. Weebu in fifth place, and Nana falls to sixth. Kason in 7th, David up to 8th, good stop there. DJ, after pitting a little later than everybody else, 9th place. Merriweather in 10th, Petey in 11th, Lucky in 12th, Fu in 13th, Fruit in 14th, Kobo 15th, Simu in 16th, Bimmel in 17th, a huge gaggle of cars here that goes back from Dreamer, oh my goodness. Dreamer, Starlight, Fillion, Bao, Soleil, Nori, Lumen, Tyroki, Iron Mouse, and Bell. That goes all the way back from, let's see, where did that start? That started from 19th. No, that started from 18th all the way back to, basically all the way back to 28th. Doki Bird and William now in this picture. Then in the very back in the 30s, we got Lumi, Sprite, DM, Mizuki, Kyoso, Fifi, the pole sitter Fifi, Kenya, and last place, Melody. So, biggest takeaway from that is that the points lead has now changed again. Although it is very tight between those top two in points. Let me take a look once more and see how that battle's going. So Starlight right now currently runs in 20th. Again, it's 4 positions, which is way more than 4 right now between them and the 69 of Bell. It's actually 9 positions, 9 or 10, depending on where they cross the line again. It wouldn't be much of a... Okay, it's going to be a lot more than 9. As Bell right now is falling back to the back, if not into the 30s. Yeah, back in the 30s. That's more than 10 positions gained, but Starlight, yeah, they're still struggling to stay consistent, to say the least. Because my goodness. That's a dogfight compared to everywhere else on the field. Weebu is up to 3rd place now after passing a couple Hololive girls. So I'll have one more out of that trio that I was talking about to get by in order to get up to 2nd place. But still, really good showing here by Hololive right now. Covering up 3 out of the top 5 spots. There's a couple others in the field, but still solid. Iron Mouse, 24th. Yeah, see, now Starlight's now actually going to be the next one that falls out of the top 20. Top 25. It's going to fall back with Bell, who's now sitting 37th. So a very big amount of struggles right now for the top 2 in points. But then again, it does, like I said, they've built a big enough gap in the points where they don't really need to bother with trying too hard. I mean, you would want them to finish consistently, but they can sacrifice a week or two and not finish well, as long as the other one doesn't do the opposite. Top 4 are now on top of each other again. Risu had a big gap, but the other 3 behind them kind of drafted with each other and closed the gap. We might see a Hololive. We might see somebody from Hololive win today's race the way that they've been running. Occupying 3 out of the top 5 spots and also dominating early in the going with Watson. Callie's going for the race lead in turn 4. They won't be able to lead the lap this time, so they're going to have to see what they can do here going into turn 1. They clear. There's several drivers just struggling on the short runs here. Risu had a huge lead going into, coming out of the pit stops, I should say. But now, after a couple of laps, it seems like that car's kind of fallen off just a little bit. Just a little bit. They're falling to 4th, giving up the lead to Callie. One that's struggling a lot. It's Bell. At the moment, just right at the back. 37th place out of 37 cars. They didn't start well. They started back in this part of the field, and they just have not had any sort of speed at all. I mean, there's a lot of drivers that are struggling. A lot of championship contenders that are struggling to keep their cars safe and sound. Another battle for the lead, or I guess another change. It's now the 11 back out front. The only driver that has not led out of this 4-pack is the 1 car, and they're going to be trying to get that race lead here sooner rather than later. Pretty much all single file, with the exception of a 2nd place battle at the moment. 81 laps, about to be in the books here, so yeah, we will be about halfway momentarily. And we are barely maybe an hour into this race. Callie now scoots to second. Although slides up going into 3. That almost allowed Guru to get back underneath. Now Risu looking underneath for the 3rd spot. Callie once again sending it deep going into 3, looking for the race lead. Caution-free first half of the race. Is it going to stay caution-free the rest of this race? Take your bets. Up several more drivers into the picture for the race lead. You got Overdrive David, and I think that's the 87 back into the picture. Quickly, I want to talk about this 87 car. I haven't talked much about him all season. He's kind of turned it up here late in the going. Was up front at Chicagoland before subsequently pitting with a couple laps to go. Was up front at Watkins Glen on strategy and then had to pit because of that said strategy. So it's just a matter of if the 87 team could just get something right at the end of the race, because they've been able to get up front, but they've just had stuff go wrong day in and day out in order for them to finish in the back of the field. They've just had no luck, but a driver that's had some luck coming their way the last couple of races is DJ Overdrive. They haven't had much success early in the season. Little bit of flashiness here and there, but definitely could be better. Then they got their first win of the season back at Chicagoland a couple weeks back, and ever since then they've been kind of hanging strong up front. They had a solid showing at Watkins Glen, but just kind of fell back on strategy. Lots of drivers that struggled at Watkins Glen, not so much today's race. Although, barely halfway through this race, it's only a matter of time before we get to see the true contenders of the race. Because like I said, the thing about qualifying in this series, you can qualify really well, but how long these races are and how crazy they could be with how much changes between the first half and the second half, it doesn't really matter where you qualify. It's how you finish. You could start up front all fine and dandy. That doesn't mean you're going to finish up front. Maybe looking for the race lead. Side by side behind. Risu almost took a 3 wide for the lead. Right now, side by side for the lead, side by side for 3rd behind. I'm curious to see if we're going to see this 11 car up front near the end of the race. If we're going to see some of these drivers up front at the end of this race. They only really can make it on one more pit stop. Around one lap, what am I saying? Around lap 120. The window will be open once they hit 105. Once lap 105 hits, then they can pit and make it the rest of the way on fuel. That's kind of the only reason why people were pitting in the first place. They couldn't make it on fuel. They could only make it 65-ish laps on fuel. So we're looking at around 105 to 110 where we're going to see the drivers pit at the earliest. That's the earliest. Not saying we will see it at that exact moment. I'm just saying that once that window opens, yeah, anybody can go in and pit whenever they want. But because of the fact that tire wear is not really much of an issue, I think it's just a matter of, I think you might be better off overcutting. Because we saw David overcut his way inside the top 10. He was one of the later drivers that pitted. Same as Overdrive in the 12. Several drivers decided to pit a little later than everybody else, and that kind of worked in their favor. maybe they were able to get a better stop as well, which definitely helped them out regardless. But still, I mean, maybe this is the race where you definitely want to try and overcut some drivers, because tire wear is not much of a factor in this race. For better or for worse, basically. I mean, yeah, we see some fall off here and there, a couple tenths off the fast lap times, but I mean, a couple tenths after 50 laps, that definitely is saying very little about tire wear at this point in time. Some drivers aren't necessarily running fast laps. I just wonder if you miss the corner, or if you just kind of get out of it a little too much, you end up regretting that decision. You end up losing more than you would like. You necessarily don't want to let out the gas too much, because this is a pretty full throttle track. Very little off throttle time. Get a little bit of off throttle here to slow down and make the corner, but it's all going to depend on a few factors. In fact, let's listen to it real quick. They're right on board with Callie just behind Weebu. We're gonna take a wild listen here, and they did let out quite a bit going into turn 1, but that is to be expected when you're right behind them. A little bit off of it there to try to keep from sliding too high up. And also not a whole lot of acceleration too, might I add. A little bit. I feel like if they're letting off at all, they're just kind of dragging the brakes a little bit. And this is while they're all running single file. You can only imagine what it would be like if they were running double file. They're running side by side, maybe even 3 wide. They would definitely let out a lot more at that point. I think that is one of the biggest reasons why we're not really seeing as many, like, passes and aggressive moves and stuff like that. And especially, like, closing rates, like a closing rate being super fast or whatever. The acceleration's just kind of not there compared to many other tracks that we've seen. Acceleration just kind of, it's there. I mean, it's there. They're going from 145 to 170 and 180 even top speed, but it's like still it's not very quick. $146 the slowest coming out of turn 4. Let's see what it's like until they get into 1. 179, barely 179 before Weebu finally lets out of the gas going into 1. Right now, currently in the top 5, all running single file, quite nicely even as well. So, Weebu, Callie, Risu, Overdrive, and David, all 5 of them are inside the top 5. Solidly inside of it, by the way. Callie pretty much nose to tail. About half a car length to a car length behind. Just keeping Weebu just in check. Not able to gain a whole lot of a gap, but that is also another norm of the series. The leaders can never really gain much of a huge gap. They can keep the lead consistently, but they're not able to build a gap. The gap building is non-existent in this series, and when it does happen, it's not very consistent. There has been some gaps that have been built in recent times, especially today, but it does not last. They quickly close. Especially on a track like this where draft is vital. We now enter triple-digit lap number here, and like I said, we are not even an hour through this race. Pre-race and all, we've had this has been a very quick race, and like I said, this is going to be our quickest race of the season. Lead change here for those that didn't see it. Callie now takes the lead away and do a little bit of shuffling here. Inside the top 10 here. It's Reese who's looking for that second spot. That's allowing Callie to build a slight gap. We saw a gap build out to 3 seconds naturally. Oof, man, that's aggressive. Battle for third between DJ and Weebu. They were 3 wide momentarily with David. David had to let out of it. How aggressive that was. DJ trying to clear Weebu going into 1. And does so. Got Didi in the 87 back up inside the top 5. There's Fu in the 17 as well entering the picture. Iron Mouse so far out of the top 3 in points. They're the best running car in 18th. We got to go all the way back to 26 to find Starlight in the 24. Then you got to go all the way back to where? Oh, there they are. 35th, 36th place for Bell. As well as Soleil, another driver who's just absolute struggle machine by the 420. Last few weeks have just not been good for them whatsoever. Any chances of them winning the championships, they're slowly falling away from them. Risu holding the fort down in second place right now in the 2 car. Overdrive right behind them, and Weebu looking underneath for Overdrive going into turn 3. And that window to make it to the checkered flag is wide open, but if you do pit right now, you are on that fringe. Comfortably, you're looking at another 5 laps before that window is wide open. If you pit now, you're basically going to have to get a little bit of saving going. Doesn't look like anybody pitted this time, which is a good thing. Well, the 86 is slow, and ooh, a little bit of damage, it looks like, on the right front. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, he is pitting. Oh, but he misses the corner. Oh, my goodness! Missed the apex going into the pits completely. Slides up in front of the field. Right in front of Melody and Fifi. How in the world did I catch that the first time? How in the world did I just catch that? Oh, wow. Looked like they also had a... They were way up the racetrack in a turn 1. They were way out of the groove there. I think they were... maybe... I don't know what happens here. They were trying to pit, and then they just... Wow. Luckily, this happened back in the 30s. I should also mention, too, Fifi and Melody, they almost got into it, too. Look at how close those two were. I don't know if Melody didn't realize that Fifi was still there, but man, look at this. Whoa. Good Lord. That's the first. That is a caution. Wow. Wow. It also does, yeah, let me go back to that. They also had some damage. They had damage also before turn 1. That's a good mention, too. Oh, it looks like turn 4. Yeah, they've had this issue for a lap. They go way too high in turn 3. Wow, big hit in that wall. So they hit the wall first in turn 4. Probably sending it in too deep on Sprite. And then just, I don't know what happens there. Maybe I wouldn't say a tire goes down because they still have speed. They obviously have enough speed to dive it into the pits. It's just right here. I don't think they didn't gather it up in time. No, they did not. They just couldn't gather it up in time. And they just slide right in front of the field. My God. I mean, that could have been so much worse. That could have been way worse than what it was. Exterior damage from the initial hit? Maybe. Maybe. Any sort of damage is going to knock out any comfortability in steering. But it was only a light hit, too. Like, it wasn't much of a hit in turn 3, but it was still enough to... It was still enough. It was a bash. It was a bash. I just think the whole thing with turn 3 and 4 coming into the pits was that they just couldn't get it slowed up in time, because it is a really fast apron, but it doesn't have a whole lot of grip. But the whole field's coming in because that window to make it to the end is open. Just in the nick of time, too. So let's see what happens here. Callie came in first. Let's see if they come out first. Everybody's taking 4 tires. Like I said, it is much quicker. I mean, it's not much quicker to take just all fuel. You're better off just taking the tires and the fuel. Risu's going to come out ahead. Weebu's second. Callie's going to lose a couple spots. Falls to third. I'll go through the rest of the field here momentarily. What a very interesting caution. Again, one that I am surprised I caught the first time around. I don't normally do that. But I've gotten lucky these last 2 weeks. Alright. Give it a second so they can cross the line, so scoring can update. So quickly through the field, after pit stops have concluded, it's going to be the 2-car of Risu, who's going to be back out front, in front of Weebu in the 11. Callie in 3rd, DJ Overdrive in 4th, Didi in 5th, David in 6th, Fu in 7th, Fruit in 8th, Gura in 9th, and Dreamer will round out the top 10. Kason in 11th, Watson in 12th, Simu in 13th, Kobo in 14th, Lumen in 15th, William in 16th, Bow in 17th, Merriweather in 18th, Nana 19th, Lucky 20th. 3rd place in points, Iron Mouse 21st, Doki Bird, quote-unquote, 22nd, DM 23rd, Tyroki 24th, Kyoso 25th, Starlight 26th, Bimble 27th, Sprite 28th, Noriboshi 29th, Melody in 30th, Mizuki 31st, all with most damage repaired, Philly in 32nd, Bell 33rd, Henya 34th, Lumi 35th, and rounding out the field, 36th and 37th is Soli and Fifi. Double file them up. And we're getting back going with 59 laps to go here at the SuperSpeedway of Nashville. Weebo on the outside, Risu on the inside. Green flag in the air. Pretty spread out here early in the restarts here. Not a lot of aggressiveness shown by these drivers on these restarts. Not getting up too close, bumper to bumper. They stay side by side going into turn 3 for the race lead. Nobody with a clear advantage. They're going to stay pretty much dead even across the line. Overdrive drops to the inside. Maybe drops lower than Risu. Wow, that's aggressive, but that does mean that the 12 can get underneath them for the lead. As Weebu falls back behind them. Still run side by side for the lead. Pretty much double file throughout most of the field. Caution's out for the second time. We already got another one. This one looks to... Uh-oh. Bad news for the points leader. They're involved in this one. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Ooh, this one. Ooh. It's like Luma. Let's see what happens. Oh, wow. This is a... Whew. So this is coming into turn 1. Bell's... Ooh, so Lumi's going to throw it in deep. Oh, wait. Ooh. Ooh, this is hard to kind of dissect. Okay, there we go. Bam! There's the hit. My God. I thought Bell was going to slide up into Melody. But instead, one more look at it. Melody's going to come from up top here. Get right into Lumi and just barely clips the 69 around. Bam! Right into the wall. Granted, they saved it. I don't know if that should have been a caution, but they did save it. But that's back-end damage for the points leader, mainly. A little bit of front end and some... Oh, that's a lot of side damage on the right side for Melody. Looked fine until you got to that part of the car. A little bit of side damage from Lumi, not too bad. A little bit of a dent here and there, but definitely not super bad. That could buff out. I don't know about the 69. Their struggles continue for the day. Just now with damage added on top of that. Then you got Melody with a little bit of hood damage here. Scraped up the left side and a huge dent on the right side, although I'm not going to be able to see it early on in the shot. Soleil's also around. Oh, we have some troubles going on here. Under caution? Or was I hallucinating? I thought I saw somebody sideways. Well, Soleil does hit Henya. Okay, I thought I saw a car sideways. Alright, never mind. Looks like David's going into the pits. Pit road is open. Nobody's going into the pits except for the 77. Is he the only one coming into the pits? Oops. The only one in terms of the front of the pack. There's a couple cars from the back pitting. Especially the ones that are damaged. Curious call by the 77 and David to come into the pits all by himself and put them back in the Hornet's nest. So, since nobody, with the exception of David and a few others from the back, have pitted, I go through the field here now. So we get a restart here and rack them all back up double file. It'll be the 12 of DJ back out front. With Risu in second. Fu up to third. Weebu falls back a few spots to fourth. Callie in fifth. Didi falls back a position to sixth. Dreamer to seventh. Kason eighth. Gura ninth. Lumen in 10th. Watson in 11th. Fruit in 12th. Simu in 13th. William in 14th. Bao in 15th. Kobo 16th. Nana in 17th. Iron Mouse in 18th. Tyroki in 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is Lucky. I'll just show the field as is here. It's like David was able to come out ahead of a few other drivers. So they're still going to restart in the middle of the field. And it looks like several of the drivers involved have pitted and got most, if not all, the damage repaired. Yeah, Bell's going to have... their struggles are going to continue. They're not going to be able to get out that whole... beat out that whole back end, but they are going to be able to continue running. Not major damage, but... Whew, it's been a long day by the points leader today, not going to lie. At least the points leader coming into today's race. All while we're probably going to get this restart going here with 54 53 to go, 53 or 54 to go. We're on lap 115 at the moment. If we get a restart, it'll be, I think, 117, 118. Depends. If we get one to go this time, it'll be 117 when we get the restart. Which we should. There is nobody lap down at the moment. The only driver that would be close would be the 69, but they're all the way in the back of the field. So, still 37 cars on the lead lap and on track. We are 1 to green. We are going to get a restart here. With a lot of time left on the clock. An extra second or two to catch your breath. I'm wondering if these double foul restarts have been causing a lot more of the wrecks. That would be a shocking revelation by me. So we have 2 drivers with back-end damage. Hana Mizuki's one of them and the other one's Bell. Hana Mizuki wasn't really falling back despite having that damage. Although I want to say that's also because we haven't had a chance to run more than a lap-ish. Couple laps. The pace car's in. We're double fouled up. Overdrive on the inside. Risu on the outside. And the green flag's back in the air. Here at Nashville, big jump by the outside. Are they going to be able to clear? No. Still not aggressive on these restarts here. Not nose to tail like I was expecting it to. Pretty spaced out. Overdrive does clear up top, but here comes a 17 to the inside. Big run going into 3. And Dreamer's looking to go 3 wide right behind the top 2 here. So that's a battle for 3rd. That's going to be a tense battle for that spot going into turn 1. Ooh, that was close. Risu's going to fall many spots out of that. And Dreamer's going to climb up many spots. Well, he was about to get up to 2nd. Guess they could send it going into 3 here. They kind of do. Try to stick it to the inside. He's allowing the 17 to get out front here. And if Fu wins this race, which they have another 50 laps for that to build towards, that'd be their 3rd win of the season, which would join Iron Mouse in that. That battle for 2nd still kind of heating up. Kind of slows down a little bit. Here comes K-San underneath Weebu for the 4th spot. Oh, we got a big one in turn 3. We got a wreck in 3. And it's oh, we got a big mess in 3. Oh my god. Kyoso, Lumi, Melody again. A very badly damaged Henya. And I think... Oh, wow. I think at the most that's 4 cars. Oh my god. What happened? It definitely started with Henya. So they're 3 wide just in front of Henya. Oh, wow. This is a big one here. So they're 3 wide with Merriweather on the bottom, Lucky in the middle, and Kobo up top. They just run out of... somehow, despite all this room down here, Merriweather runs out of room. They pinball each other. Lucky smacks the 30. Once that... Okay, first off, Kobo and Lucky, they keep their situation under control. However, not with Henya's case. In the grass... Same situation with Mizuki. It's right in front of the field. Oh my god. Right in front of the field. Oh my Jesus. All of that. And all of that mess, that collects Melody right into Kyoso and Lumi. But look at Soleil just keeping things under control. Not even a scratch on that machine. They may not have the luck of... They might not have a whole lot of luck today, but... They used it all up there, I'll tell you that much. I mean, it can't really get much closer than this, folks. It can't get much closer than this. Here comes the chaos. Here it comes. Jesus! Oh my goodness gracious. A very unfortunate day for Kyoso, though. They were looking to rebound from... They were looking to rebound from Watkins Glen. And even rebound from several other races in the past few weeks. But this ain't one. This ain't gonna be one of those days. Gonna be the opposite of that. I mean, they're fine compared to Henya. And I think the worst out of it maybe Melody. I don't know. Kyoso's got a lot of damage. That car is destroyed in every part of it. We're losing cars by the moment. Don't look like anybody up front pitted. It's all going to be the drivers that got damaged. Just a... Oh my god. When you hit that grass, you're just not able to slow it down as quickly. Henya was trying to at least get it wound up enough to where they could slide up and still keep a little bit of speed, but that just wasn't meant to be. It was not meant to be. So that's our third caution, all within a short span of time. We ran clean the first half, and then after lap 100 and, what was it, 108 or 109, something like that, we've had 3 instantaneous cautions. One after the other. But we'll see if that continues. So we got this restart. Foo's out front with Overdrive in second. Dreamer's actually in third place. Another good restart there by them. Fourth place will go to Weebu. Fifth place in Kason. Risu falls to 6th. Callie in 7th. Gura 8th. Lumen in 9th. Didi falls to 10th. Bao in 11th. Watson in 12th. William in 13th. Simu 14th. Tyroki in 15th. Nana in 16th. Doki Bird in 17th. 18th is Sprite. Starlight in 19th. And David, after pitting the last caution, they've climbed up to 20th. And 21st Bimble, 22nd DM. There's Henya in the pits. Let's see. DM 22nd. Iron Mouse 23rd. Mizuki 24th. Brute 25th. Merryweather 26th. Norigoshi 27th. Billion 28th. Soleil 29th. Fifi 30th. 31st is the points leader, Abel. 32nd is Lumi. Kobo 33rd. Lucky 34th. Kyoso 35th. Melody in 36th. And Henya 1 lap down in 37th. Then we'll follow them up. 1 to go. Going back racing. Also, hello, Dreamer. Good to see you in chat as well. Get this restart here on lap 123 with Fu on the inside leading the way and Overdrive on the outside leading the way. Green flag back in the air. Dead even going into turn 1 here. Fu's going to try and send it in a little bit deeper. Clear up on 2 and does so. And that opens the door for Dreamer to maybe get up to second. Fu's hanging on. It's probably the only car that's right now not having to worry about a car to the outside or inside. Able to drive away about a car length, the 2 car lengths away from Dreamer, and Kason right there in 3rd place, not too far behind. Get single file down in the top 5 early on in this run. Chaos happens when you get to the back of the field here, but mostly double file. And Soleil, who just barely missed that wreck, that last wreck, trying to climb up through the field in 26th at the moment. Kyoso, who was heavily damaged in that wreck, still keeping up in the pack in 32nd. Henya, not so lucky. I think is already 1 lap down. Their day's practically done. Just trying to ride around and see if anybody else can maybe get involved in a wreck to a point where they retire, and then you could get those points. So far, things have calmed out through the top half of the field at the very least. First side-by-side battle goes to Overdrive in 3rd place, battling with Kason on the outside. Still some battles going on in the back half of this top 10 here. That's Sprite actually now climbing into the mix for the first time today. Inside the top 10. Starlight's actually climbed inside the top 15 for the first time today. They sit 13th at the moment. All it takes is a few restarts, and there's some changes in the leaderboard. Especially with these double file restarts. If it's single file, things are a little bit calmer and harder to pass, for the most part. But as time rolls on, we've entered the last 10 races of the season. We get the double file restarts, and everybody's packed up. Things shuffle around quite a lot. It's actually quite, I don't know, concerning, amazing, one of the two, depending on how you look at it. Things change in a heartbeat in this rate, in this series. The top 2 have kind of brought themselves to a gap. Not by much, and it won't take much for Overdrive and Kason to come back. Make this a 4-car battle for the lead. Right now, it's Fu and Dreamer just kind of hanging out nose to tail. Still have about 40 to go, though, so long ways away for this race to end. But it is going to go by quickly. We talked about how quickly this race has been. We're barely past an hour and a half in this race. Or at least in total length of this stream. So maybe about an hour, little more than an hour of racing. We only have about 40 laps to go. That's winding down quicker than you think with these 29-second lap times. I mean, we got drivers almost hitting 28-second lap times, and I guess that just shows how comfortable these drivers have gotten with their cars, and B, the difference of this track from the start to this point in the race, gotten faster. The track's gotten more faster for these drivers. Maybe it's because they're getting comfortable and they're actually figuring out how to send it. I don't know. I don't know what the cause is, but I'm liking it. I'm all for a fast race. Those lap times are almost sub 29s. There is some drivers with a sub 29. That's Sprite with a 28.9. And seriously, everybody's running 29-second lap times with the exception of Sprite, who's faster than them. The only one that's not running the 29-second lap times is Henya, but we all know why that is. That engine's not running at 100%, I'll tell you that much. So we have a pretty fast race coming up here. Fast to the finish. And also, the field has spread out tremendously. I mean, look at this shot right here. Top 4 are all right on top of each other, but you got only about a few more cars before that. Before it starts spreading out a lot. Lumen back in 5th, Sprite in 6th, Weebu in 7th. Then he got to go back a ways. But hey, look at this. It's Starlight back in 8th. Inside the top 10. Last time I talked about them, they were 13th. They drove through this little small pack right here. David's up to 15th. I wonder if those, if he took tires on his stop, I wonder if they're helping him at all. I mean, I doubt it, because tire wear is not much of a problem here. Problem slash factor. But he has managed to get back inside the top 20. But he did pit inside the top 10, so he still has a ways to go, though. They are catching Henya, by the way. Henya's on the exit of 2. They're also and the leaders are on the exit of 2. They're going to catch Henya, and if, depending on how that goes, it may split the field up more than it already is. So, going through the field here just momentarily, Fu has 2 wins on the season, Dreamer has 0. Overdrive has 1 back in Chicagoland, Kason has none. Lumen has 1 on the season, although sits way back in the point standings, I think last place. Sprite also has a win in the season, so does Weebu if I remember correctly. Starlight has 2, Bimble has none, and I don't think Callie has 1 either. So there's a ton of drivers inside this top 10 that have won a race. There's also a few that haven't. Looking like we got to maybe battle for second right now. They're getting tight for that second spot. Dreamer is able to hang on for the moment. I think we should probably... We got to keep our eyes on both this battle for second and what's directly ahead of the 17. And that's this car right here. A car that's running at maybe 70% complete power. Oh my god, Henya. Really slow. Holds up the 17. That bunches them up a little bit. Yeah, here comes Lumen and Sprite. They've climbed up into this picture, so now it's the top 6. There's Weebu back, trying to catch up as well. Kason's looking for 3rd. Looking to the inside of Overdrive. And she does clear Overdrive, but has to deal with Dreamer. Not going to give her that space on the outside line for the moment. Here comes Lumen. Side by side for 2 separate positions. 2nd place and 4th place. It's going to allow Fu to build a bit of a gap as we got 29 to go. There goes Kason to 2nd. Dreamer's going to fall back a couple spots. See, the good news for Henya is that they're not really double file packed up until you get back to the top, outside the top 10. And then that's where you got your main problems. That's where things are really going to get spicy. Dreamer back to 2nd. Still got a lot of racing left in this race, so we're gonna keep our eyes on this first pack here, and we also got to keep an eye on Henya. She might end up causing another wreck. Maybe inadvertently, but at the very least, they're gonna check up the field and bunch the field up and shift things around a lot. While I got a second, let's go look and see where the top 3 in points coming into today are at. Starting with the points leader, Abel, currently struggling with the rear end damage, but hanging on, 24th. Hanging on to a 24th place. That's pretty good considering getting involved in a wreck or 2. Oh, Risu way up in the fence. Really slow. Looks like some side damage cosmetically, but no caution. If I had to guess, I'm assuming... Oh, they're going to be 4 wide with Henya. Oh my goodness gracious. There's a little bit of contact, but thankfully, that's nowhere as chaotic as I thought. Oof. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You got to keep an eye on that. Oh, Didi, way up in the wall. They keep it straight. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's helping Bell out a lot. Drivers ahead of them just completely whiffing the corner. Starlight up in 8th, though. That's the biggest deficit right now for Bell. The fact that Starlight's all the way up in 8th place with a car that's clean. And even if Starlight falls back a couple spots, they're still going to come out of today's race with the points lead if it stays like this. Ironmouse not too far behind in 13th, but they're not going to really gain that many points necessarily. They're still going to gain a lot of points, maybe make it less than a race for them behind in the points, so a confirmed 3-horse race for the championship. At the moment, that's what I'm thinking. Like I said, with how this points format is, each position is a point. Leading a lap gives you 1 bonus point, and winning the race actually gives you an extra 3 points as well. Now, speaking of positions, there goes Dreamer to the top of the positions for the race lead with a little more than 22 to go. Actually, a little less. But they're not going to be able to pull away quickly. They already got some challengers right underneath them. There comes Lumen to the inside, as well as Sprite. And Foo's going to send it 3 wide behind them all. Lumen's the beneficiary out of all of that, just driving away from all three of them. Dreamer was able to lead 1 lap. That's all they're going to lead for the moment. Now the 52 back out front, looking to become a 2-time winner this season. Don't ask me what race Lumen won, because it was so long ago, I don't remember exactly which race it was. Foo's looking to the inside here. I do remember the 2 races that Foo has won. Twin Ring Motegi was one of them, way back when. And Homestead, a couple weeks later, after that race. Once again, he's looking for his 3rd of the season. Top 4 have all won a race this season. Foo with 2, Lumen with 1, Overdrive with 1, and Weeboo with 1 as well. I believe, yeah, Weeboo has won a race, yeah. And now Weeboo has fallen outside of the top 4, so... Well, out one driver, and in comes another one that's won a race. Kind of. Sprite in the 90 all the way back at Rainbow Road on race 3. Battle for the race lead. Once again, going into turn 1, it's going to be Lumen who's going to slide in underneath. I take the race lead away. By the way, all 7 of these drivers have more than a 5-second gap to the next batches of cars right behind them. So, if this stays green to the rest of the way, it's going to come down to just these 7 drivers. So pick your person out of these 7, because that's really all it's going to be, unless a caution comes out in the next, I would say, 10 laps. We've had a couple races end under yellow, so if the yellow comes out quickly, we'll get a restart. But if it comes out before the end of the race, a couple laps, about a lap or 2 before the end of the race, it will be the end. And all 7 of these drivers are right on top of each other, too, so this race is far from done. The aggression's starting to pick up a little bit, despite these drivers running quite long on this run. And the battle's all for second place right now between the other 6 drivers in this pack. The only one that's not necessarily in contention for the second spot's the driver in front of them. I mean, they're all gaggled up on top of each other, which you would think would lead the guys from 8th on back to try to, not to come back, but they're also battling just as hard behind them, so it's not really helping them. Also, I think David's now back inside the top 10. Yeah, David's at the top 10. So is Iron Mouse. I think the 24's fallen back several spots too. Yeah, Starlight's fallen all the way back to 17th. Wow, and Bell is liking that. That's 4 spots. That's 4 spots. Wow. How crazy, how quickly things can change in this series. Dreamer back to the race lead. Still got 12 laps left, and they're coming up on Henya once again. Coming off of turn 4, and they're coming into turn 3. So yeah, they're going to catch her 1, maybe 2 more times in this race. When Henya is all by herself, that'll definitely mean that we'll have a green flag run. I kid. Just the fact that I saw 4 wide action as they're all trying to pass her is just kind of a note as to how things work around here with these drivers. They do not give a shit if you're slow. They want you out of the way. Side by side for the lead, and turn 3 and 4. It's Fu now looking back for the race lead. They're side by side throughout this whole 7-car pack, with the exception of Kason at the very back of this little pack. It's less than 4 seconds now to 8th place, but still got a long ways to go. It's 10 laps to go here. Just quickly going back through the field here. Starlight has managed to survive and hold 14th. And Bell's fallen way back now up to the outside, so Bell almost had an opportunity to hang on to the points lead by a thinner margin coming out of today's race than into, but again, how quickly things change. Nine laps to go. Overdrive takes the race lead. They're all trying to get more aggressive here. Look at the cars back there in the pack. They're catching them. Maybe the top 7 have raced each other too hard. It's understandable with only a few laps left to race as hard as they are, but this is bringing up that pack from 8th on back. They're catching them. Starlight, who I thought was struggling, has now cracked the top 10 again, although, like I said, they're pack racing. It's SuperSpeedway racing at its best. Sprite to the race lead. Overdrive falls several spots. Everybody's fallen several spots. Them running double file and all that sort of stuff with several more drivers running single file behind them. That's gonna, oh my god. I thought Kyoso was gonna be out of this race because of the wreck with Henya, but no, he's up to 13th. He's recovered really well. They really did buff out a lot of that side damage. Good to know as well that there was no major engine damage for Kyoso and the rest of the unfortunate ones. Well, here comes that pack of cars who I thought was pretty much done. From 8th on back, they're making this, this is a big battle for the win now. Oh, we got a car on the wall. I think that's Callie that was all the way up in the wall. Yeah, that's Callie up in the wall, slow on through the tri-oval. Probably just got simply out of line. David really slow on that outside. I thought he was also on the wall, but that's not the case. Oh, they're coming through Henya again. Oh, boy. Let's keep an eye on Henya here real quick. see how things hold up here. Held up Weeaboo a little bit. 4 laps to go here in this race. We're gonna have to see what happens with this 30 car. Because it'll be the difference between a lot of drivers finishing well and a lot of drivers finishing poorly. How aggressive are these drivers going to go to get around this 30 car with 4 laps to go? Oh boy. This is a very unfortunate situation for Lumen and Dreamer. They are getting held up horribly by the 30. Look at the train underneath them all going into 1. This track is barely wide enough to fit 3 wide, but neither of them want to go low. Dreamer finally, nope. There goes Lumen finally to the inside. And they clear basically everybody through and through. With 3 laps to go. The yellow flag at this point is going to end the race. So now the question is, how quickly can he get out front? If a caution comes out, you want to be the first one across that line. You ain't going to get a restart. You're going to be pacing or across the line with a checkered flag. 2 laps to go and across the line. And whoever's going to win this race, it's going to come down on the last lap. Between Weeaboo, Overdrive, and Foo in the 17. Right now, the top 3. Oh my god. Overdrive loose going into 1. Has to let out a ton. Sprite's in the picture. Maybe even the 24 car is going to end up in a good situation here to win this race. Off turn 4, it'll be Overdrive who sees the white flag first. Will he be the one to see the checkered first? He won a couple weeks back at Chicagoland. A big send by Sprite. That was terrifying. I thought we were going to see a wreck going into 1 here, but down the back straightaway for the final time. About a several car length gap. Going into turn 3, they're side by side behind Overdrive. And off of turn 4, they once again hit each other as Overdrive crosses the line first and gets his 2nd win of the season. Almost a repeat of what happened in his first win of the season with the field piling up behind them all. And what a top 10 finish by not only the 24 of Starlight, but Kyoso and Ironmouse, Kason as well. Big top 10 finishes here for a ton of these drivers. Bao in the 26. Weeaboo caps off a solid day in 7th. And Bimble also with a hell of a run from the last 10 laps to get up to 2nd. Win by 0.03 of a second. What a race. Unfortunate for several drivers who we'll look at here momentarily, but yeah, what a race to end it all. What a race to that finish. Let's quickly get myself set up for the post-race. Alright, let's quickly go over the finishing results for today's race. Out of 169 laps, Overdrive led 12 of them. Ironically, his car number. Led 12 of them to win his 2nd of the season. In close proximity too, by the way, compared to his first. Bimble with a nice little recovery there near the end of the race. Practically, I counted them out, but they actually came back and finished in 2nd place. Which was a real good run by them. Sprite in 3rd, Foo in 4th, and Starlight with a solid finish in 5th place, considering they spent all day in the back, practically in Struggle City. Actually, the driver right behind them was one that I really want to talk about, and that's Kyoso. They were involved in that last wreck, and I thought for sure they got the worst out of it because of how horrible the wreck looked to them. But they were able to manage well with the damage and actually hold on to a solid finish in 6th place. So that feels like a win to them. And I would definitely say that is a win to them. Weebu leads 30 laps to finish in 7th place. I say that because they were only 2 laps away from leading the most. Fu leads 32 laps. So he'll get that bonus point for leading the most laps. Bao with a solid top 10 finish in 8th. Kason in 9th, and Iron Mouse sneaks their way into a top 10 finish. Merriweather in 11th, David in 12th, Watson finishes in 13th, Lumen in 14th, and Doki Bird finishes out the top 15 in 15th place. Didi in 16th, Dreamer fell all the way back to 17th after getting held up by Henya near the end of that race. Just a terrible finish for what could have been a solid day, if not a top 10, maybe even a win for Dreamer, which would have been their first of the season. Soleil fell back early in the race and just could not recover completely, but still recovers well enough to finish 18th. Tyroki in 19th, and Lucky rounds out the top 20. Points leader coming into today's race of Melanie Bell. Melanie Bell. I always say Melanie. I don't know why. Melanie Bell now finishes in 21st. Simon right behind them in 22nd. Mizuki, all things considered, finishes the day in 23rd. Noriboshi in 24th. Callie 25th. DM 26th. Nana 27th. William in 28th. Billy in 29th. And 30th is Risu. And the rest of the field scrolls down from there. An awful day for anybody that decided to start inside the top 10 today, because most of them finished in the back half of the field. Fillion, who started in 4th, finishes 29th. Fifi, who started on the poles, finished 31st. Lumi, who started 2nd, finished in 33rd. Fruit, who started 35th, finished in Fruit, who started 7th, finished 35th. Just a terrible day for those drivers that qualified. Hey, who saw that one coming? So, that is the final results for today's race. Let's go ahead and take a look at the points coming out of today's race and heading into next week's race. Now, again, another points leader change. The 24 area has regained the points lead and has put back that said gap on Bell. Another 12 points for the 24 car as they now sit back on top in the championship. And Iron Mouse did not really gain anything. If in fact they really lost points to the championship leader. They are still in contention for 2nd place. They can take second spot away if Bell ends up having a terrible race next week, which is, I don't want to say impossible, but definitely happening. But Iron Mouse, sitting with 48 points behind the championship leader, still sits about 36 back from Bell in 2nd place. So still a lot of things got to go their way in order for that to change for their way. No changes from 3rd to 6th place. The only changes that happened inside the top 5 was the top spot. He also gained 4 spots today and sits 7th in the championship. Bimble, with that 2nd place finish, actually gained a whopping 8 spots and has now entered the top 10 picture. And Risu, who I talked about earlier, silently keeping up inside the top 10, has fallen out of that and now sits in 11th. So that's how things shake up for the championship right now. With that, we're now entering the 5-race stretch to the finish. We now have only 5 races left of the season, and the 5 races are going to all be crazy and unique at the same time. So next week's race at Springfield is going to be a one and only dirt race. It'll be a dirt race, classic slingshot, sliding around, all that good stuff with dirt racing. You'll see that next week. Then after that will be our final road course race of the season, that being at Infineon. Then we go to Indianapolis, and then after that we take a trip over to Rockingham, and then our finale race will be at Las Vegas. So we got 5 races left of this season. And we still have no idea what the championship is going to be like heading into that said finale race. It is probably going to come down to at least 2 drivers. I don't see in the way that the last few races have been, unless Area can turn things around here within the next couple of races. It's gonna be one of those deals where it's gonna get crazy for the next couple of races for the championship. And then leading into the finale race, I feel like that's only gonna get crazier. Especially knowing that there's gonna be multiple different battles for the championship. Because real quick before we end and send off this stream here, also so I can pack in 2 hours worth of stuff, just so I can quickly fill it in, obviously. There'll be 2 different battles that we will be watching here championship-wise heading into the finale of Las Vegas. We ain't talking much about it right now because we still have several races left. So much can change and so much can happen. But Season 2, the 2025 season, it is around the corner. We're getting closer to the new year. I know we're in August, close to September in fact, but it's never too late or never too early to think about next year. With the 2025 season coming up, there is a caveat for a lot of these Season 1 drivers to make it into Season 2 with no hassle or no worries. The criteria to get into Season 2 for these Season 1 drivers is to finish 100 points or lower to the championship winner. Right now, we got 9 drivers that sit above, or below, I should say, that 100-point threshold. Goes all the way down to William in 9th place in the points, as we saw earlier. When the championship finale has concluded, we will take a look at the full standings all the way down to which drivers finish less than 100 points back from the championship. Anybody who finishes less than those 100 points will automatically be gifted an opportunity to race in Season 2. The rest of those drivers that fail to meet that criteria, they'll have to either re-sign up or... yeah, it's basically that. They'd have to re-sign up. Also in Season 2 news, good and bad news in a way. Good news, we are expanding the field in Season 2. It will be expanded to 40 drivers instead of 37. So there'll be 3 new drivers, or 3 more drivers, I should say. Not new. There'll be a lot more new drivers, but there'll be 3 more drivers that will be added into Season 2. The bad news, we are probably going to lower the amount of races that we do during the season. Probably down, maybe cut off 5 races, probably around 20 to 25. Final count still undetermined. But it won't be 30 races in exactly. But that is the end of this race. We'll be back next week, roughly, for the dirt race at Springfield. I'm excited for Springfield, man. This 5-race stretch has 5 tracks I love to a massive degree, right? Dirt racing's gonna be fun as hell. We're gonna be seeing another road course race, which we've already saw back at Watkins Glen. That one was a hell of a race, a fun one nonetheless, which I still recommend watching despite it being a road course race. Still a fun race. Absolutely fun. Infineon's going to be fun. We're going to have Indianapolis, which is one of my favorite tracks because I've been to it several times. Then we go to Rockingham, a very classic track. And then we got Las Vegas. Got a lot of action here left to go here in this VTuber racing stuff. In terms of outside of the racing stuff, in terms of, my streams and stuff like that, I will try to stream tomorrow, especially iRacing. I'm going to try to stream some iRacing tomorrow because I wanted to do it last week, never got the chance to. Got busy. I got too busy with stuff. And I want to do iRacing tomorrow before they switch to next week's schedule. Because I want to do some Daytona and I want to do some other things as well. I'm going to try to stream some other stuff too this week, but again, I don't know yet. I suck at streaming, so I'm gonna have to figure out my schedule and figure out what I want to do for streaming and stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully I stream more than 1 or 2 streams before the next VTuber race. Hopefully. But thank you all so much for watching. Take care and have a good night.